Alright, so game 2 between these three and Lizard's one game up. I think in the last game I somehow managed to muck up the little score panel there. And, even though it was the first game, I don't know what I was doing anyway. Just pressed something by mistake. Yeah, so we're PvP again, presumably Ggriffin in the bottom right and Lizard in the top left. We're on the same map. Oh no, we're not. We're on Winter's Gate before, and we're on Submarine here. Yeah, so last time Lizard opened with that forge and did manage to slow his opponent down effectively with what was, in retrospect, actually a pretty good cannon rush. And the reason I say it was good, you know, people that play cannon rushes to try and end the game have got the wrong idea about cannon rushes. Cannon rushes are not a good strategy. If you're playing it to end the game, you know, yeah, you might catch out some people that haven't had much practice in these cannon rushes, but ultimately it's a crap plan. If you're playing a cannon rush just to mess up your opponent more than it messes you up, then it's a great plan. You know, drop a cannon somewhere, slow down their build, interrupt their build, mess with them so that they can't, so that the game basically doesn't play out the way that they planned it. So you know that it's going to happen, they don't. So you can engineer your build to allow for the fact that you're going to have gone forge first. But their build did not have in mind that they would be delayed by having to deal with cannons in their base. So you can do it and come out on top. The key then is to minimize cost. So, you know, if you can get away with one pylon, one cannon, perfect. If you're forced to build two cannons, less good. If you're forced to build two pylons, less good still. And what you'll see at pro level frequently is a single cannon built. And you'll get several pylons built around it that then get cancelled. Built when they're needed, cancelled, so that the player doesn't lose that money investment, so that they ultimately only ever allow one pylon, one cannon to finish up. That's kind of that's what you should have in your mind, really. How cheaply can I do this? How cheaply can I sort of disrupt my opponent's build? Two observers are going to pass each other here. With Lizards, is going to come in slightly sooner, but Ggriffin does have an observer of his own at home, and you should have seen this come past, so I'd like to say move the observer in and kill this. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, his observer, it's a slightly unusual place to sort of take station, really. I don't know what you can see from there. A little bit of this, a little bit of that. Sees that there's a forge, not much else. The observer over here, I guess, has a reasonably better view of what's happening, but I wouldn't mind it shifting across to get a view of the army, so that you know what sort of unit count your opponent's got. Lizard with the third slightly slower than his opponent this time, so it's Ggriffin that's got that slightly faster third, and that is a good thing. You know, in general, faster expanding leads to victory because you've got that better income sooner. Plenty of gateways coming down, but there is a dark shrine on the map. Interesting location. I'm not sure about right there, because you don't know whether or not there's a building here, and if there were a building there, it would see this. Anyway, oh, maybe he does. No, I don't think he does now. Pylon over here would have sighted this, but hopefully Ggriffin doesn't make the same mistake as last time. You know, make sure you've got detection. You do have somewhere two observers on this map, don't you? Oh no, he must have lost one of them. Yeah. So it has one observer and it's on the other side of the map. So if DTs come in here, they're going to get a feral shred on before another observer can possibly come out. It does have an idle robo, so yeah, you need an observer, or you need cannons, or something. You know, just don't lose a whole bunch of stuff to invisible men. Don't be that guy. Anyway, here they come, and similar to last time, it's a whole raft of them. It isn't just one or two. It's a whole shock of them. So I don't know what the hold up is. Oh, really? You've got more? Is that really? Okay. So these guys are going to come in and they're going to be able to do extremely well. So what do you do when you come in? There's a lot of congestion here, so maybe you try and snipe these high value Archons. That's not such a crazy thing to do. Or maybe you just try and walk through it, but if Ggriffin catches wind of that happening, all he's got to do is hold position these units and you won't be able to get through. And what you don't really want to be doing is spending your time hacking through Zealots. You know, because Zealots don't really cost any gas. They don't really, they literally don't. So a big congested bottleneck like this is what you want to prevent losses from these DTs, but there's so many of them that even with that they are going to kill a lot of units. But you know, you're building cannons. Well, what you need is an observer. You need observers. Just chrono out an observer. Please chrono out an observer. So finally the cannons finish up and the DTs are gonna fall, but my goodness. That was expensive, wasn't it? Look at the resources lost here. That is handful. Learning is overrated. I'm not so sure. I mean, why wasn't there an observer? You know, come on. Like, you can chrono an observer out faster than you can build these 10 cannons. And, you know, had Iizard been, like, had any sense, all he had to do was move them up into the main. There wasn't any cannons there. Didn't know. Anyway, now there is finally an observer out. Parked above the cannons doesn't seem like the best place for them, though. You don't need them above the cannons, do you? So what is going on? Anyway, if we look at the army supplies, they're actually not desperately different, but Iizard has a big worker supply, you know, so he's got to be careful, because if Cross-Eyed gets maxed out, he will have a much bigger army. But that's a big if. His income is quite good, but it's not awesome. Please stop just throwing away these DTs now. I know you've got a lot of minerals in the bank, but you know, those are gas expensive units. Each one of those DTs is, I want to say 125 gas, and you've just chucked 5 of them away like it weren't nothing. 700 gas is not a small amount to be thrown away. So, you know, you've had the value from this, you can stop now. What is the transition going to be? We've got Void Ray speed in production here. These stalkers haven't really achieved anything. They're just kind of parked at home. But you know, we've not really seen any sort of move out from Ggriffin. It looks difficult to get out the front door for Ggriffin, to be honest. I'm not so sure. Well, these are, yeah, they probably will. Will these Archons fit? Yeah, they'll fit through there, will they? Anyway, it's pretty congested in there. He's got a lot of gateways. He is a fast approaching maxed out, and as I said, that worker advantage could well turn to a disadvantage here, because as both of them hit max supply, you can see that it's actually Ggriffin with 20 supply more. Does he have enough that shoots up though? Because there's gonna be void rays. You know, and again, he's got an observer. Why hasn't he? Does he know about these void rays? Is that enough Archon to kill the void rays? I'm not sure it is. It could be, as long as you're not, oh god, that is the worst engagement ever. All the zealots stuck at the back instead of fighting the stalkers. So the problem he's got here is there's one Archon left, and there's all these void rays that aren't dead. And he isn't building anything. Look at all this money in the bank. Why aren't you building stuff? Why aren't there Archons being built at home? What is it that we're doing here? There's nothing in the production tab for either player. Ggriffin is actually supply blocked now, and that is problematic. But there's no pylons in production. Yeah, like that's the way to fix a supply block. But he is going to manage to take out all of his opponent's infrastructure, and that is pretty painful. Is there anything left? Oh no, what is... These are on the move command, so they're not even shooting the workers that are body blocking them. That is... It is not every day you see that. Workers killing immortals. That should never happen. I'll be honest, like in that last engagement that was happening in sort of two places, the Void's over here, Griffin's army over here, if either one of these players had have continued to build stuff throughout that, they would now have won the game. They would now be so far ahead, but neither of them did. So actually they're roughly even. However, it is Ggriffin with the worker advantage now. So in theory, he can resupply quicker, but this mass of void rays is a big problem, and he doesn't have that much that shoots up. We're going to get some Archons on the go, and Archons can help. Oh, okay. Really? Huh. I mean, yeah, the army supply here is 63 to 41, but how much of it shoots up? Right, 13 zealots at 2 supply each, they don't shoot up. 2 immortals at 2 supply each, they don't shoot up. So what we've got here is 6 stalkers and 2 archons. Those are the only things that shoot up against 10 void rays. Well, guess what? 10 void rays wins. Yeah, they outrange the archons by a mile. So as long as you're microing them a little bit, that is a weird GG. Anyway, it was a GG. GG.